That itch didn't start today, and if you don't understand what it's trying to say, you might not get another chance. Have you ever felt it? That strange discomfort that shows up out of nowhere. No medical explanation, no allergies, no clear reason. Just a quiet, persistent itch that seems to choose very specific moments to appear. Behind your neck, in the center of your back, on the soles of your feet. Unusual places, but always the same ones. Places no one touches, but that suddenly seem to demand your attention. And the most curious part? It always shows up in the silence. When the house is still, when the world slows down, when you lay down and try to sleep, that's when it appears. And no matter how much you shift or try to ignore it, it keeps coming back, as if something invisible is trying to reach you from the inside out. Most people brush it off. They think it's nothing, just the mind playing tricks. They try to explain it with stress, dehydration, or they simply don't mention it to anyone. But some people feel it's more than that. They sense there's something behind it, as if the skin is receiving a message. And if you're here right now, maybe you felt it too. Maybe you're starting to realize that your body isn't just reacting to the environment, it's trying to warn you. And not everyone picks up on things like this. You know that. There's something different about you. Something that's always made you more sensitive to the unseen. As if there's a second layer to reality, one that only a few can enter. And sometimes it reveals itself through a simple itch. And it doesn't come all the time. But when it does, it's as if it's trying to say, pay attention. Science won't tell you this. Traditional religion will ask you to pray and move on. But what your body is trying to scream goes far beyond what the eyes can see. It's picking up signals, frequencies, presences, vibrations that don't belong to this ordinary world. And when you try to ignore it, it returns, stronger. Because this calling won't be forgotten. That itch, it's like a spiritual touch, and it doesn't happen by chance. You might try to remember all the times you felt it. Try now. How many times were you about to make an important decision, and it showed up? How many times did you feel it when you were alone, but didn't feel entirely alone? How many times was your body trying to tell you something that your mind couldn't understand just yet? And why is it that so many people don't feel any of this? Why is it that only a few notice when something invisible draws near? Maybe it's because most people are still asleep, and maybe it's because you're not. Maybe your soul has already awakened just enough to begin sensing. Maybe you are what some call an awakened soul. And this sign is just the beginning of everything. If this is making sense to you, let me know. You don't have to say much, just confirm it in your own way. Sometimes, knowing that other awakened souls are feeling it too is enough to calm something deep inside us. Maybe you're waking up, and maybe you're not alone. By the end of this message, you'll understand what your body has been trying to scream. You'll understand why this itch isn't physical, and why only the awakened can sense it before it's too late. But this itch is just the first sign. What comes after this changes everything. Maybe you've never stopped to think about it, but your body has always known before your mind. From early on, it tried to alert you. Chills that came out of nowhere, shivers that had nothing to do with the cold, tightness in your chest in places where no threat was present, shaky hands, night sweats without heat, sudden dizziness in quiet rooms. The body feels everything first, and even when you ignore it, it keeps trying. Because the body doesn't lie. It simply responds to what the mind hasn't yet been able to process. There are zones in the body that work like spiritual sensors, like tiny invisible radars, activated by subtle fields. That's why the itch keeps showing up in the same places. That's why the chills hit when you enter certain spaces. That's why you feel the urge to rub your skin, shift your position, or cross your arms like you're trying to shield yourself, even if you don't know from what. It's as if your skin is trying to hear something the world can't see. And it is. Your skin is a bridge. Your bones, an antenna. Your muscles, a field of spiritual memory. And the more these sensors activate, the more discomfort grows. Because you feel everything, and there's no one to share it with. You try to explain it, but people listen with doubt. You pretend it's nothing, but your body won't let it go. So you learn to stay silent. You learn to fake that everything's okay. But inside, you know something is moving. Something without a name, but pressing on you. That's when the insomnia begins. Deep sleep that leaves you tired. Waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. with a racing heart. Sensations like pressure on your forehead, your eyes vibrating during meditation, or the sudden feeling that someone passed by, even though you're alone. And you start to realize, this isn't exhaustion. It's not anxiety. It's your body saying, wake up. It's trying to align you with something invisible, something that moves through your energy field before it reaches your physical life. Some call it hypersensitivity. But what if it's spiritual sensitivity? What if, instead of being fragile, you're becoming more receptive? Because the awakened aren't born with everything activated. First comes the discomfort, then comes the awakening. First, the body resists, then it listens. And in that space between strange and familiar, something begins to change. You begin to feel environments like they're people. You start to notice that some voices drain you, that certain stares weigh on you, that some words pierce you like invisible arrows. And the hardest part? All of this happens in silence. It's an inner war no one else sees. And yet, you keep feeling it. Because your body isn't trying to scare you. It's trying to prepare you. Maybe it's only reacting because something is about to touch you. Because the body is the last portal that the unseen passes through before it manifests. And when those points start to vibrate, something is drawing near. You feel it, but you don't see it. The air shifts. The energy of the space transforms. Your body goes into alert, but no one else seems to notice. The presence arrives quietly, almost unnoticed. It doesn't shout. It doesn't reveal itself. It has no shape. But when it gets close, something inside you begins to stir. It's like an ancient frequency waking up, like a lost signal being received again. And your body, which always felt it first, begins to respond. Some call it intuition. Others say it's just being overly sensitive. But those who've experienced it know it's not imagined. There is something that arrives before words, a presence that touches before it reveals itself. And almost always, it shows up in the most unexpected moments when the space is quiet, when your mind slows down, when you're not expecting anything, but feel everything. Sometimes, it's just a shiver that runs down the back of your neck. Other times, it feels like someone is nearby. You look around and see no one, but you feel it. A gentle pressure in the air, a dense vibration, an invisible field forming around you. It's as if the temperature shifts, as if time slows down. In some moments it feels like you're being watched, but not with human eyes, with something older, something deeper. The body senses it long before the mind is ready to accept it. And that's why so many people run. They feel it and get scared. They feel it and doubt themselves. They feel it and try to explain it away as coincidence. But you didn't run, you stayed. And that's where the difference begins. Because while some run, the awakened listen. They listen with their bodies, with their skin, with their soul. They listen even without fully understanding. And they remain there, even without being sure of what's happening. Because deep down, something inside already recognizes this presence. It's not new, it's ancient, familiar. It's been with you before in other moments, in other places, maybe even in other lives. And when it returns, something within you awakens. Something that isn't physical or logical. It's a silent memory that stirs the soul. The ancients used to call this feeling the shadow of the soul. Others called it the breath of the invisible. The name doesn't matter. What matters is what it's trying to say. This presence doesn't come to just anyone. It only arrives when the soul has reached a certain level of sensitivity. And when that happens, reality begins to shift subtly. Colors seem more vivid. Silence starts to speak. The energy of places becomes almost tangible. And time is no longer as rigid as it once was. This is the moment when the world splits between those who feel and those who deny. Between those who perceive and those who mock. Between those who listen and those who turn away. The presence doesn't force itself. It simply approaches. And those who are ready hear it. Those who aren't shut down. That's why not everyone notices. Because perception doesn't come from the eyes. It comes from within, from the frequency of the heart, from silent surrender. Maybe you're feeling it right now. A field forming around you. An energy that slowly begins to circle, as if wrapping itself around you. It's not here to frighten you, but it can't be ignored anymore. Because what's approaching isn't just a sensation, it's a calling. And it's searching for those who are able to feel. But what separates an awakened soul from the rest? There is something being transmitted at all times, a vibrational code that moves through the air, through objects, through bodies. It makes no sound, yet it resonates. It has no form, yet it penetrates. And like a subtle melody, only a few can truly hear it. Most people live as if everything is just matter, but there is a hidden side of reality that is constantly sending out signals, frequencies, callings, and only those whose souls are tuned to a certain frequency can receive them. Have you ever felt like something was trying to communicate with you without using words? Have you ever been moved just by looking at the sky, as if something invisible was gently touching you? Have you ever felt a chill from hearing a simple phrase, as if there was a message hidden behind it? Or felt a deep peace when walking into a quiet place, as if you were reconnecting with an old memory, even if you'd never been there before? These are fragments of the code. It doesn't reveal itself through logic, but through vibration. It comes as emotion, as intuition, as a silent confirmation. Like music that only those with finely tuned ears can hear. It's playing right now, in this very moment, but only a few can perceive it. The awakened don't just hear it. They feel the melody on their skin, in their blood, in the energy that pulses around their bodies. And that's why the world feels different to you, because it is. What seems ordinary to others becomes deeply symbolic to those who are receiving the code. A repeating number, a song that plays out of nowhere, a stranger who crosses your path at the exact right time. None of these things are random. They're all part of the code. And the code is not random. It has a purpose. It prepares. It activates. You're tuning into something beyond logic. You're translating the invisible, feeling what others ignore. And at first, that might feel confusing. But slowly, everything starts to make sense. You begin to understand that this sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's a calling, a spiritual recognition. The universe is communicating with you because you're finally ready to listen. And what if these codes have been reaching out to you for a long time and only now you're beginning to notice? Those moments when you thought, this can't be a coincidence. Maybe they never were. Maybe they were rehearsals, gentle signs you weren't ready for until now. Because the codes don't come through force. They whisper, they test. And when the soul responds, they intensify. The ancients called it the language of the awakened soul. Others, the vibrational calling. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that it comes to very few. And when it arrives, something changes. Old cycles begin to break. Masks fall. Answers come before questions. Synchronicity speeds up. Time bends. And the sense of mission starts to grow stronger. Because the codes come before the mission. They warn, they prepare, they refine. And the moment you begin to receive them, the universe begins to move the pieces. You're not imagining this. You're accessing it. And the more you recognize it, the more your body responds. At first, the body whispers. It tries to warn you gently, an itch here, a shiver there, a strange discomfort that comes and goes. But when you don't listen, it starts to scream. And those screams don't use a voice. They speak through sensations, through imbalances, through symptoms no one can explain. The body is the first messenger of the invisible. And when the soul insists on ignoring the signs, the body turns up the volume. What once was just an itch in certain spots begins to shift. Insomnia arrives, restless sleep, exhaustion without physical effort, a heaviness in the shoulders, tension in the neck, the stomach tightening for no reason, sweaty palms, burning eyes, a mind that won't stop racing, even in the silence. All of it your body trying to scream something you don't want to hear. And it screams because it knows you feel it, even when you try to deny it, even when you pretend it's nothing, even when you tell yourself it's just stress. The truth is, the body feels what the soul won't admit. It absorbs what the mind tries to avoid. And the more you run, the louder it speaks. The more you try to silence it, the more it forces you to stop. There are moments when the body becomes uncontrollable. You try to relax, but it vibrates. You try to sleep, but it stirs. You try to distract yourself, but it pulls your attention inward. And this is not random. This is the soul pressing from the inside out. Because once the soul wakes up, it refuses to go back to sleep. Most people turn to medicine. They take tests, change habits. But few ever stop to ask, what if this isn't physical? What if it's energetic? What if it's spiritual? Because the truth is, many symptoms appear when the soul starts to move, and the mind is still resisting. That conflict creates friction, a silent ache, a constant discomfort. Some people only realize this when they've reached their limit, when the body has already imploded, when the nervous system collapses, when anxiety takes over, when panic settles in. But before all of that, the body tried. It tried gently, it tried persistently, it tried with force. Ignoring it is like covering your ears while the universe is speaking. And the universe doesn't stop just because you chose not to listen. How many times have you tried to silence this calling? How many times did you blame the body when it was the soul crying out? How many times did you search for healing outside, when all you really needed was to pause and feel? The body is not your enemy, it's your guide. And when it screams, it's because the truth is too close to keep denying. Maybe that's why you've come this far. Maybe, somewhere along your path, you started to listen. Even if you didn't want to. Even if you were afraid. Even if you thought it was all in your head. But it wasn't. It never was. It was your soul pushing the truth into your body. It was light forcing its way through pain. Because when the body starts to scream, it's not punishment. It's an opportunity. A chance to finally wake up. A chance to hear what lies beyond the noise of the world. A chance to align yourself with something far greater than you imagined. And what happens when you finally listen? When you stop running? When you stop numbing and start feeling? That's when something shifts. That's when everything begins to align. Because when the body screams, it's the soul begging for attention. And when you stop and listen, something begins to change. Awakening rarely happens all at once. Most of the time it starts quietly, almost imperceptibly, like a tiny crack in something you always believed was solid. At first, you don't notice. You just feel that something's different, but you can't quite explain what. The things that used to distract you no longer make sense. The places you once loved start to feel empty. Everyday conversations become draining. And in the middle of it all, a new sensation is born. It feels like you're returning to something you never knew, but that was always yours. This is one of the first keys to awakening the feeling of familiar strangeness, as if something inside you is resurfacing, a longing with no name, a memory with no image, just a silent certainty. I've been here before. Maybe it's a scent, a phrase, a song. Something stirs that déjà vu feeling. You sense that you're remembering something you never lived, but you feel it deep in your chest, and it changes everything. You start moving away from distractions. You observe more. You feel uncomfortable in places that once seemed normal. You realize you're becoming more selective with people, with content, with your time. It's like something is pulling you inward. And the more you allow yourself to feel, the more you realize the world has always been too loud for you to hear what truly matters. From this point forward, the world stops being just what your eyes can see. You start picking up on the subtleties, the energy beneath the words, the things left unsaid, but hanging in the air. You become more sensitive, more aware, quieter on the outside, but louder within. Because now everything vibrates. Everything feels like it's trying to say something. And the more you feel, the harder it is to go back to who you used to be. This is the stage where many people feel afraid. Afraid they're going crazy. Afraid they're drifting too far from reality. But this isn't madness, it's clarity. You're not breaking down. You're waking up. What's falling away isn't your sanity, it's the veil. And as that veil dissolves, you begin to see what was always there, hidden beneath the rush, the logic, the control. You're not learning. You're remembering. Remembering that you are more than your name, your body, or your story. Remembering that something greater is moving behind the scenes. Remembering that your soul carries scars not from this life. Wisdom that doesn't come from books. Connections with people you've never met but feel like you've known for centuries. And the most powerful part? You trust this feeling, even without proof, even without reason. And then, small miracles begin to appear. Coincidences that are anything but random. Dreams that feel like messages. People who walk into your life with the exact words you needed to hear. Signs in the clock, in numbers, in chance encounters. And more than ever, you start to feel, I am being guided. And that changes everything. Because the first awakening doesn't require effort. Just honesty, just surrender, just the courage to feel. Because awakening isn't about chasing something new. It's about remembering what was always yours. And once that memory touches your awareness, nothing is ever the same again. And then, a new need rises within you. Understanding. The universe is always speaking. Always. The difference is, very few are truly willing to listen. Most people wait for clear answers, for grand signs, for obvious manifestations. But the universe speaks softly. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And to hear what it has to say, you must quiet the noise within, the doubt, the need for control, the fear, the rush. This language doesn't use words. It shows itself through repeating patterns, through numbers that keep appearing, through dreams that echo the déjà vu you feel when you awaken. It speaks through songs that play at just the right time, messages that arrive when you're on the edge of giving up, people who enter and leave your life as if following an invisible script. But these signs aren't always symbolic. Sometimes they touch the body, literally. The itch you feel during moments of deep introspection on your neck, shoulders, feet, or hands isn't just physical. It's energetic. It's a spiritual activation. It's the universe trying to touch you through your own skin. These subtle manifestations are not random. They happen at strategic moments, when you're thinking about something important, when you're about to make a decision, when you enter a space that's heavy or highly elevated. The body reacts. It vibrates. It shivers. It itches. It signals. It translates. It feels long before your mind can understand. And you begin to realize you're not becoming too sensitive. You're becoming awake. Because the awakened don't wait for signs that scream. They recognize the gentle touches, the perfectly timed itch, the shiver without wind, the unexplained vibration in the air. And instead of ignoring it, they stop. They feel. They listen. They pay attention. And they understand. The universe speaks through life, through the body, through emotions and cycles. Nothing stands alone. Everything is connected. And the more you listen, the more it speaks. The more you observe, the more it reveals. Because it doesn't speak in a rush. It speaks with intention. And every symptom, every itch, every shiver, every repeating number is a line in a much larger message. You may have thought you were being triggered, that something was bothering you without reason, that your body was overreacting. But now, maybe you're beginning to realize you're not being triggered. You're being awakened. And awakening is not comfortable. It's unsettling. It's intense. Sometimes it hurts. Because when the soul begins to listen, the universe stops being random and becomes a living message. Everything gains meaning. Everything starts to feel orchestrated. And that changes the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you look at the world. You begin to decode. But this language isn't meant to be just understood. It's meant to be lived, felt, embodied. The universe is not trying to impress you. It's trying to realign you, to reposition you on your true path, to show you that everything you feel is not too much. It's activated spiritual sensitivity. It's your soul responding to the touch of the unseen. And that's why, from this moment on, your perception will never be the same. Because the universe doesn't speak just once. It repeats. It insists. It draws the answers right in front of you. But it's not enough to know. You have to integrate. Breathe. But now, breathe with intention. Feel the air entering through your nose, filling your lungs, creating space within your chest. And as it leaves, let it take the rush, the noise, the tension with it. Do it again, slower, more consciously. And on the third breath, close your outer eyes and open the ones within. Your body is more than flesh. It is a field, a portal, a translation. And those places that itch are like small spiritual bells ringing beneath the skin. They are there because something wants to be felt, wants to be acknowledged. So bring your hand to that spot with reverence. Touch where it itches and listen. Feel the warmth of your own skin, the weight of your hand, the subtle magnetism vibrating just beneath the surface. This is not just a gesture of relief. It is an act of listening, a silent reverence to what you feel, a ritual gesture, ancient and sacred, like those who once anointed their bodies with awareness, knowing the skin holds codes that were never spoken but were always there. Touch with the left side of your body, the side of the heart, Let that contact say, "I'm here. I've accepted the call." Don't wait for answers. Just be fully present. Because in that state, the soul speaks. And when the soul speaks, the body responds. And when the body responds, the universe listens. Maybe you'll feel a tingling. Maybe a memory will arise. Maybe tears will come without warning, or a deep, unexpected peace. Whatever comes, welcome it, because that is what's alive in you now. And if it's alive, it wants to be seen. As you breathe and touch, imagine that spot on your body starting to glow with light, a gentle, pulsing light, as if something there is awakening, opening, blooming, as if that small discomfort, now touched with presence, is becoming a portal into yourself. This practice doesn't require logic. It doesn't need to be understood. It needs to be lived, repeated, honored, because the more you respond with presence, the more the soul expresses itself. And the more the soul expresses, the more the body aligns. The itch softens, the symptom shifts, the vibration stabilizes. You move from a state of reaction into a state of listening. This is your moment, your sacred gesture, a bridge between the physical and the invisible, a conversation between your skin and your spirit. And even if it all still feels subtle, remember, the sacred always begins in the unseen. Touch where it itches and listen, because what you're hearing is your own soul trying to remind you of who you are. Now that you've felt it, it's time to know what to do with it. Not everyone listens, not everyone responds, and the truth is, not everyone returns, because there is a silent threshold between feeling and ignoring, between being called and refusing the call. When the soul insists and the body cries out, but you keep looking the other way, something inside starts to close. Slowly, the vibration weakens. The spiritual field retracts. The bridge that had opened begins to dissolve. Not because the universe punishes, but because the soul grows tired of trying to be heard where there is no listening. It's like a flower that wilts when no one tends to it. Like a song that stops playing when there are no ears to hear. The sacred needs space. It needs presence. And when that's not there, it leaves. And when it leaves, something dims within. You've met people like that. People who used to shine, who once felt everything deeply, who saw signs, spoke of purpose, had a different light in their eyes. But something happened. They hardened, closed off, chose not to feel anymore, and that light slowly faded until it disappeared. The truth is hard, but it must be said. An awakening ignored becomes a burden. I once knew a woman who used to dream of voices. She felt intense itching every time she entered sacred spaces. She had visions, constant chills, everything in her pulsed with energy, but she became afraid. She felt ashamed, and she chose silence. She shut down every sensation, laughed at herself, stopped believing, until the silence took over. She never dreamed again. She never felt again. And now, she lives on autopilot. She never returned. I knew a man whose body carried spiritual marks, scars with no clear origin, a magnetism you could feel even without words. He saw signs in everything, but he chose distraction, chose excess, noise, performance. He ran from sensitivity as if it were weakness, and now he's a hollow presence. He's never been the same. And there was a young man, one of those rare souls who could hear even the wind. He would get chills just walking into old places. He always said the world was speaking to him, but no one believed him. And he began to doubt himself, started to hide, to rationalize, until one day everything stopped. The world went silent, and so did he. Now he smiles, but inside he's deaf. Ignoring a spiritual calling isn't neutral. It has consequences. It's not an external punishment. It's an internal emptiness. Like drying up from the inside. Intuition fades. Dreams lose their meaning. The body silently begins to suffer. The soul shifts into survival mode. And the connection that once felt alive turns into static. You might try to carry on like nothing's happening, but eventually, the emptiness comes. Life loses its taste. Answers stop coming. And you start missing something you can't name. That's the soul trying one more time to be heard. Only now, it's weaker, distant, tired. This isn't a threat. It's a plea, a call for truth. A reminder that sensitivity is a gift, but also a responsibility, because those who feel don't feel by accident. Those who are touched were chosen, and those who were chosen can't fall back asleep without paying a price that's far too high. So if you're feeling it, honor it. If your body speaks, listen. If the itch persists, touch it with respect. If your dreams call you, stop and go deeper. Because the cost of ignoring it is becoming someone you no longer recognize. But if you're here, there's still time.